what legal strategy, given the decision in Obergefell, where the Kleins and others are now legally categorized as bigots. Right? That's their legal category. What legal strategy, what political strategy would you use to provide protection for people like the Kleins, Barronelle Stutzman, and so on? And then right after that, 501c3 organizations, given the corruption of the IRS, what's to prevent them from going after Christian colleges who are opposed to same-sex marriage, and so on?
Well, it's not just a matter of what might happen, it's what will happen, what is already happening. The agenda here is not simply to have the freedom for same-sex relationships called marriage. I refuse to say that that's marriage, because marriage does have a definition, and that's not it. But what I think we need to recognize is that the assault is on something deeper than just the institution of marriage. Once you've redefined marriage, and that now becomes a new civil right, if a hospital, let's say it's a Christian hospital, Catholic hospital, Baptist hospital, says, you know, we're not going to put two fathers on the birth certificate, two mothers on the birth certificate, they're going to be out of business. They won't be accredited. If they refuse to allow benefits to a same-sex couple because it violates their convictions, they'll lose their hospital accreditation. The hospital goes out of business. The same thing happens to Christian universities. Not only will they not be able to receive Pell Grants or any type of their students who go there, any type of federal scholarships or perhaps federally backed student loans, but their school could lose accreditation, which essentially would put a lot of schools and universities completely out of business. Here's what I think could happen if there were a president who was willing to do it. I've got a suggestion for that, but number one is that I think the president should say that religious liberty is the law of the land. There's nothing ambiguous about it, and that people are absolutely free, whether as individuals or business owners, are leaders of institutions, churches, adoption agencies, schools, universities, hospitals, in whatever form, that they will not be in any way infringed upon in practice of their religious liberty as it relates to their honest biblical convictions regarding marriage. The second thing, I would instruct the Attorney General to vigorously defend religious liberty wherever it's being violated. So in other words, instead of the Kleins having to find private sector attorneys, I'd love for the Department of Justice to be sent in to defend the Kleins against an outrageous attack on their religious liberty, as well as the T-shirt shop owner in Kentucky, Elaine's Photography in New Mexico. You mentioned Barronelle Stutzman in Washington State, and on and on. The third thing, I would instruct the Secretary of Defense to make sure that the chaplains of our military, as well as the members of the military, knew that no one was going to restrict how they could minister, what they could say, how they could pray, what Bible verses they could read, and how they would interpret those Bible verses in the context of counseling, as long as they were counseling according to their Christian convictions. We're not going to have the government coming in and saying to a chaplain, you can believe anything you want, but you can't believe it on duty, and you can't practice it, because that violates the First Amendment. We've got to get back to the simple language of the Constitution, which frankly is crystal clear.